Okay, I got the heat treat going. I broke up most of that rock over there. I got a little pile now instead of a big pile. This is interesting stuff. This gray stuff right there. Let's see. This feels just like Rhyolite, but it heat treats. As far as I remember, I'm gonna check on that tomorrow. I should be able to post a video tomorrow night. Okay, if it works out the way I think, it heats really nice. Is a big difference between this in the raw state and the heat treat. I mean, it's a complete world of difference, which is what I think happened back in the day when people started first finding out about heat treating back 70,000 years ago. How did they first start it? Well, what they would do probably is they'd find rocks that they could chip to make other stuff, but it was not very nice rock, so they just put it around their fire like a little, I don't know, like a little campfire with rocks like this around it. And after a while they figured out this stuff was fire popping and stuff, and so they started chipping on it, and they figured out that fire changed them. I think the fact that they were just putting it around the fire just as a little fire circle caused them to notice that some of this stuff would heat treat. Yeah, building little fire circles out of whatever local rock they had. It doesn't take much. You can heat treat next to an open fire. You just gotta wait for it to die down and make sure you're in a non-windy spot, and you can stick it around. You put your flakes around the fire, just barely touching the coals. I gotta do that one of these days, just to put that issue to rest. I just haven't got the motivation to do it. I'll do it on my own because I've got flakes that I don't care about. I'll just stick it around the fire. But I need to show you guys how I do it in a quote-unquote semi-formal way. Because what you can do is you can cook meat at the same time you're heat treating your flakes. Yeah. Same heat it takes to cook the meat is the same heat that it takes to cook the flakes. Imagine that. All right. What was I going to do? I was going to make something out of some of these heat treats because I really like this stuff. I like this material. Yeah. Oh yes. And of course I should make an arrowhead out of the most difficult one, right? Because this is too easy. This is too easy for you guys. Yeah. No one wants to see that. It's lame. Yeah. Some people might say, get yourself some easy rock and start doing some nice arrowheads for a change. Like Folsom and Cumberland and 4-inch hohokums. Yeah. 4-inch hohokums. Say that 10 times fast. 5 times fast. Well, yeah, I've heard that before. I've been there and done that. I don't really like doing 4-inch hohokums. What's a 4-inch hohokum? Somebody tell them. Somebody tell them, because it's not necessary that I go over that stuff. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone to do the small arrowheads I like doing. and the smaller side of the lateral dart point world. Yeah. What am I going to make out of this? Hopefully something that captures that little bullseye in the middle. Kind of sort of a bullseye. Kind of sort of. This is very curved on that side. This is straight, so I have to favor that side. Yeah. Remove a lot of this side because it's coived. Coived, like Bugs Bunny would say. One of my sons was asking me, "What did you watch when you were a little kid, Dad? What was it? What were the shows on the TV?" He's interested in this kind of history, entertainment history and stuff. And I was thinking about that. It's a good question. What shows did I watch? Then he asked me, "Did you watch Sesame Street, Dad?" And I said, "Yes, every day." Okay, what else? Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner. Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner. Coyote and Roadrunner. Bugs Bunny. Tom and Jerry. Flintstones and Jetsons. Sesame Street, yeah. Banana Splits. I like that show, but the Banana Splits. Partridge Family. How old am I, you might ask? I just turned 60. I used to watch The Twilight Zone, Creature Double Feature. I used to watch Elvira whenever I got a chance, but for some reason I could never find... that channel. I think mainly because it was on really late. But I used to watch, you know, those old horror films and Godzilla and any vampire movies I could find. I used to watch The Dark Shadows. Or Dark Shadows. The vampire soap opera. Star Trek, the original series. Mr. Rogers and a program called Zoom on public television. Public television has Sesame Street and they also had Zoom. What else did they have? Mr. Rogers, probably. I think that was public TV. A lot of that stuff you can't find on the internet anymore because they scrubbed it off because it's not politically correct. Yeah. Weird days we're living in. I remember when Tom and Jerry cartoons had the classical music, like the Mozart or the Bach or whatever. And sometimes they had blues. The background music was excellent on Tom and Jerry, and then I noticed everything started going downhill when Tom and Jerry started going downhill, and the animation was not that great, and the background music was not that great. And then everything started going downhill. But the stuff I used to watch with my kids, I used to watch SpongeBob with my kids all the time. I would sit down and watch SpongeBob. Oh yeah. That was some funny stuff. Hilarious stuff. I used to watch Beavis and Butthead as an adult. Oh yes. I'd never really watched The Simpsons that much. It didn't really seem funny to me. Now South Park was pretty cool. My kids would watch Rick and Morty. I never really got into Rick and Morty. That was a mystery why that was appealing. Anyway. Oh, shucks. Now that was just me, right? What happened there? It was just... What was I trying to do? That was just a regular old hit. Yeah, there's no reason for that other than it crushed and then caused a radial fracture. And too much bending. Yeah, I crushed that edge really bad. It looked like it was having some issues before I broke it. I'm not going to throw those away. I can still do something. Let's see. Just got to make sure I don't put it with the raw stuff. What else we got? Pick another hard one. Yeah, I can make stuff out of those little pieces. It's not a big deal. Make something a little bit bigger for the video. Although I keep getting requests to do small arrowheads. Alright, so this is just the nature of heat treat. Right? It gets more brittle than what I'm used to. It's more brittle than the raw state. This break isn't too bad because these are nice pieces. It is annoying. It doesn't annoy me sometimes to break those. So I got to be careful. And this is 375 degrees, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to go any hotter than 375. I was talking about maybe going to 400 degrees on this stuff. But if it's going to be this brittle, just play it safe. Don't go any hotter. Now, can it be that I'm using steel? Is that the problem? I always get that question. Not necessarily online, but at nap-ins when I'm using steel at a nap-in. I'm in the minority because everyone's using copper or antler. They ask me, is that steel making a difference there? Did you break that because of the steel, or is it okay? Is everything cool? Well, steel is not all that great except for the lack of maintenance. You know? It can be really nice on raw stuff. The steel can conquer the raw stone easily. Yeah. In most cases, the steel will just tear through raw stone and you can make something. Whereas if you're using anything else, it'll cause you lots of pain and consternation. So you might ask, okay, where did that conversation go about what I used to watch as a kid? Why did my son bring that up? Other than he's just curious. See what I've been indoctrinated with. Yep. I think he wanted me to ask him what his favorite stuff was to watch. but I didn't ask. I don't want to know what your favorite stuff is. That's your business. I hope they were enjoying what they were watching and not just getting used to whatever's on TV. I'll just watch whatever. Seems like that's what they do now. If it's on, they'll watch. If not, oh well. I remember watching Brady Bunch. What else did I used to watch? I used to watch that all the time. Happy Days. You guys remember Happy Days? The Odd Couple. Yeah, you younger guys, you can look it up. Some funny stuff. Happy Days wasn't that funny, but The Odd Couple was. I missed the Seinfeld the era. I didn't watch much Seinfeld. When I did, I just kind of binged on it. I did binge on several episodes, or yeah. It was a time when I would just watch bunches of episodes and just binge on them. Come on, what's going on here? Anyway. I gotta focus on this. For some reason, I'm thinking it's gonna flake and it's not flaking. It starts off nice and then it starts to act up. What's up? And it's supposed to be nice and buttery in this area. It's not supposed to be all fussy and not flakery. Yeah, it's a little bit curved. Oh yeah, I used to watch Looney Tunes with Porky Pig and stuff like that. I watched Wizard of Oz every year for like, I don't know, 5 years in a row or more. This is not good. Yeah, it's just the nature of the heat treat. It's very snappy. Alright, I think I'm going to change strategies here. I want to still pick these odd shapes, but I've got to change the strategy. You'll see in a minute what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to proceed more slowly instead of diving right into thinning. I can't just thin this normally like I normally do. Yeah, in the raw state I can thin it like I normally do. But in the heat treated state, it's going to require some more patience, as far as I can tell. Yeah. Let's quickly take the turtle backs off of this and then proceed in a more careful manner after that. I'm not too worried about breaking this stuff right now. I've got a lot of it. But there'll come a time where I start to get a little bit low on it. I gotta back off. I can go through about 10 pounds and I can waste about 10 pounds of it without worrying too much. But it gets to a point where, yeah, I've got to really focus on what will make it thin. I'm gonna have to keep them kind of thick. Yeah, I think in this case, thinning it is not worth the risk. Thinning it way down. So, if I was going to make another Danish dagger, I don't think I would heat treat this stuff until I had several larger pieces under my belt. This stuff really snaps easily. Really easily. It flakes nicely. I like it that it doesn't dive in. But what I don't like is the snap in half stuff. And you might notice that I haven't ground this down much. It's because I'm in the preliminary stages. It doesn't really matter too much. I don't think the lack of grinding down this thing is causing the snaps that I just got. I'm just being too aggressive with something that's too snappy. That's what's causing the snaps in half. Too aggressive. Too aggressive in the thinning. You gotta be aggressive to thin, but you can't be too aggressive. That's the hard part to learn. How to be aggressive but not too aggressive. Yeah, there's a delicate balance between hitting hard and knowing how hard you can hit without snapping it. Like I'm hitting it really hard right there. Hard enough to overshoot it. I already tested the overshot a little bit earlier. I don't know if you saw that. I can't remember if it was this piece or one just before it. It's easy to overshoot. Yeah, that almost went to the other side. I consider it not a good thing to be easily overshot. It's not a good thing. If I say it overshoots easily, it's not a good thing. In my opinion. Some people like it. I don't like it. Yeah. I'm hitting hard enough to overshoot it, but it's because I'm testing the limits a little bit. I'm also wanting to do this fairly quickly. I don't want to take all day. It's getting kind of late. But I am staying a little bit thicker than I would normally. I chose a pretty thick piece to begin with. Yeah, it's so tempting to get it really thin. It's tempting to try to thin it way down. It naps well. Yeah. Just a little too snappy. Snap in half type stuff. It's not as bad as a snap in half shirt, but it's close. Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. You know what the snap in half shirt is, right? I keep talking about it because I had a batch of it. It's an Edwards Plateau type of shirt that is really, it's nice to nap if you can avoid snapping it in half. It just has that property where any little bend in the blade, it'll snap it right in half. Any bending force or excessive force will snap the whole thing in half. So it's hard to make Clovis out of that material. And I've seen artifacts made of that material and they're pretty thick usually. Or they're crude looking. I don't like that undetached flake there. This seemed relatively easy to take care of. Alright. It seems like it would hold together without snapping, but just when I think that it's coming along nicely, it'll snap in half. Alright, I'm going to switch over from a large flaker to a smaller one and start to change the strategy and go slower. Now, me personally, I don't mind my personal points being thick. The ones I make for myself, I don't care if they're thick. In fact, I like them. I'll make some thin ones for myself too, just to stay in practice. I've already given those all away though. They make excellent gifts. Excellent stocking stuffers. Those thin ones. Yep. People like them. And I like giving them away. Or selling them these days. These days I'm doing a lot more selling. Gotta find a way to gear up for selling more stuff. Yeah, I keep saying that. Okay, so it's about as thin as it would get until it's getting snap thin. It's gonna snap anytime. This is when it snapped those other times when it's this thick. So I got to be very slow in chipping away. No aggressive strikes, but they all have to be long flakes. So I can't hold back too much on the force. It just has to be the type of force that just slowly chips away at it. And there's a slight curve in it. I think I can take that out. Alright, I gotta get rid of this cortex. Although it looks kind of cool. it can't be sharpened that well. I don't really care if my points are sharp or not, unless I'm going to use them for hunting, I guess. I haven't been hunting with stone points in years and years and years. When I first started, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to hunt with the points that I made. But I like firearm hunting so much, I really didn't do much bow hunting. So I think I went out maybe twice with stone tipped arrows and never saw anything, so didn't shoot anything. I did go. I have shot at small game that, you know, requires there's no season, no closed season for rabbits. So I've gone shooting rabbits. What else? Can't remember now. Anyway, small game is pretty easy to shoot at, but I don't even know. I don't remember now what I've shot with I don't think I've. What did I shoot with a stone point? Other than fish. I've shot fish with it. I can't remember. Yeah. That's why I don't get many views. I'm not much of a hunter. Not with this stuff anyway. Although that's why I learned, one of the reasons why I wanted to learn Flintknapping was so I can go hunting with stone points. I never got around to doing much of it. That might change in a little while. If I get settled in up north, find a place, you know, maybe buy some land or whatever. Find some nice places to hunt. Start it up again. Start up my hobby. I did do some hunting, deer hunting with rifles. But I since sold all my first rifles because I had kids. I didn't do much hunting. I didn't really have a need for them, so I sold them all. Then I bought a couple more. Then I got rid of those. I have one of them left. All in storage. Yeah, when you have kids, and you can see the damage that firearms do, you really don't want to have them around the kids. So I keep them away. And now they're all adults now, so I can rest easy. I just need to find the time to do it. Yeah. I like hunting. That's one of the three. That's the trio of things I like to do: is hunting, camping, and fishing. But it seems like most of what I do now is just camping. Yeah. Camping and making videos. Maybe I'll put those two together. Maybe bushcraft videos or something. I'm getting dangerously close to overshooting this stuff. It's not good. Come on. How hard can it be to get that little step fracture out of there? I don't like it. Yeah. I don't like it when I do those mess ups. So what points should I make? What point should I make out of this Georgia chert? Oh, Georgia point, obviously. I'm not an expert in Georgia points, so I don't know. I can look it up just like everybody else. I can Google it. Google it. Yeah, I remember when Google was just a funny name for a company. I did not take it seriously. Now they're dead serious. They want to rule everything. Oh, yes. Okay, I gotta pay attention here. It's at the snap thickness. So I gotta ride the snap thickness. I can't go much thinner. I just gotta look for thick spots that are way too thick and then get those thinned down. And that's it. Leave the middle kind of thick. Let's see. Alright, so I'm going to be doing some pressure flaking. What can I talk about? I haven't been talking very much. Nope. Now what do we talk about? Let's see. Something highly annoying, right? Yeah. Let's annoy some people so that they have to turn the volume down. And say to themselves, man, I wish the guy would not talk about that. What's something annoying that we could bug them with? Shooting down alien UFOs over Alaska. Yeah. Did you guys see that shooting down a UFO over Alaska? They shot it down, right? I think they shot one down. Funny how they'll shoot it down now, but they didn't shoot one down before. It's funny how that works. Well, we had to wait because it would cause some danger and some unnecessary risk. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, if I start talking about the official narratives of this and that, that'll annoy people to no end. I'm not going to get into that. No, it won't. Might talk about aliens, though, yeah. It's a good segue into talking about aliens. My son asked me the other day, like 2 days ago or something. One of my sons, I got two sons. They're twins. One of them asked me the other day, Dad, what do you think of aliens? You believe in aliens? And I said, I think it'd be a tremendous coincidence if we existed at the same time period as other aliens. Because I don't think species like us would last very long. I mean, for comparison, I was looking up the woolly rhinoceros and the rhinoceros species in general, or that type of animal. Why? Because there was rhinoceros, I think, in the New World. They used to hunt rhinoceros or something like that. They were everywhere. Anyway, I could be wrong about that, but I was just looking them up because they're very interesting. And I think that species is like 80 million years old. Or that type of animal with the horn and all, and the same body structure and all that. 80 million years. They've had a run of 80 million years. And as humans, we have a run of 3 million. And modern humans, less than 100,000 years. And we're already at the brink of destroying ourselves. If not nature destroying us through disease or whatever. We are almost at the point of destroying ourselves, and it's only been 100,000 years or something like that for modern humans, and less than that for our ability. How long have we had the ability to destroy the planet with nuclear weapons, for example? Not very long. A blink of an eye in terms of species life. We're already on the brink of not being here anymore. So I told him, yeah, as far as coincidences go, advanced civilizations, once they get the ability to destroy themselves, how long do you think it'll take? Doesn't take very long. It's like a spark. You see them for an instant and then they're out. So I think it'd be a tremendous coincidence for us to see aliens at the same time. Because within a span of 1 billion years, these little sparks going in and out of existence, these little life forms that are highly advanced, will end up destroying themselves or just becoming extinct very quickly. To see them at the same time that we exist would be a coincidence, I think. Too much of a coincidence. All right. Why did I bring up rhinoceroses? Because I was just amazed at how long they've been on the planet. We think we are a successful species as humans, and we've only been here a fraction of the time they have been here. Some of them are still alive, right? The rhinoceroses, but they're endangered. But they've had 80 million years. That's a pretty good run. Even if they go extinct, that's a pretty good run. Yeah, it's more than you can expect from a lot of species that seem to be more well suited to the environment. They went extinct sooner. Yep. So we'll see. We shall see. Alright, I gotta be careful because this is snapping halftime. Here we go. This is the strategy change. I gotta make sure I remove flakes very, very carefully instead of just jumping right into thinning. And not because I'm not that familiar with it as far as the material goes, but because it'll snap. Alright. I changed to a smaller tip. A smaller tip puts less bending forces on your workpiece. A larger tip will strike a larger area and put a lot more bending. A lot more bending force. Alright, so I do want to thin it just a little bit more. I think I'm still on the safe side. Yeah, but that's as far as... Yeah, that's the last big flake I'm going to take off of this stuff. I might take another little flake, and that's it. Come on. Just a little flake. Just to the center to thin out that lumpy spot. Yeah, like that. Okay. Alright, so now it's just pressure flaking. Unless I just take little flakes, little bitty ones. Yeah, sometimes you can't tell the difference between these small indirect percussion flakes and pressure flakes. Platforms are the same, the angles are the same, the tip of the tool is the same. You're just using I'm just using a mallet to impart the force instead of pushing on it. Yeah, everything's the same. The amount of grinding is the same, pretty much. It might be a little different. I might grind a little bit more for the percussion than I do with the pressure, but for the most part, it's the same, everything's the same. It's the same, except for I can take off big flakes without putting too much stress on the workpiece. To take that kind of pressure flake off with a pressure flaker, you need a lot of force behind your pressure flaker, which can snap everything because it's slow. When I just rip it off with indirect percussion, the workpiece doesn't have time to react. I'm using the weight or the mass of the workpiece against itself. With pressure flaking, you know, the workpiece moves a lot, and you're doing it very slowly, so there's a lot of chance of snapping it. All right, and the towel down below helps to prevent breakages. In case you're wondering, it's not only for aesthetics, which I do use for aesthetics. I like different colored towels for different seasons or whatever. No, it helps absorb the shock. The towel is very absorbent, not only with water, but also with shock. You didn't know that? Now you know. Alright, so that's the shape of the basic shape. Is it a preform or a trade blank? Since I don't know what's going to be, right now it's a trade blank. I really don't know what it's going to be. It's actually more valuable like this to somebody than if I were to make it into a certain type of point. Yeah. If it was larger. That's the thing too. Now, if I made a point out of this, it's debatable whether the point would be worth more than the biface of the same size. A biface that's larger is worth more than a smaller finish point. So if I made a small finish point, let's say 2/3 the size of this, it'd be worth less than this actual biface, even though it takes more work to make the full point. Labor doesn't really count when you're looking at the value of these. Labor doesn't translate. It takes a lot less labor to make a larger biface than a smaller point. But the larger biface will sell for more. And it's worth more. And I think the same thing happened back in the day. So they could be trading large blanks, but they weren't making large pieces out of them, I don't think, in many cases. They would get whittled down quite a bit, I would imagine. Unless they were making a knife, but I don't know. I guess it depends on how refined the trade blank is. If it's a highly refined trade blank, it'll stay about the same size. When you try to make a very intricate point out of it, it's going to lose a lot of mass. Can you see? I might not even be able to focus on this. Yeah, it responds extremely well to copper. I don't know why more guys don't nap this coastal plain stuff. I mean, it is kind of rare, but it's not all that rare, I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know. I see it on a lot of napkins. Especially in the southeast. So what I'm doing now, I'm just picking on the edge, getting rid of the dull spots. I didn't grind the edge too much, or I didn't braid too much. But I did abrade some. I can see some dull spots for sure. And I'm regularizing where I can. Or where it needs to be. One of my viewers asked, how do you sharpen the point? How do you sharpen these stone points? He's mentioned that none of his points are sharp. This was a different forum. This was not one of my comments that I got. Although he's been a viewer before. I saw him on the Primitive Archer forum. Anyway, told him just bevel it. The easiest way to sharpen a stone point is to bevel it. And if you want, you can bevel both sides. You know, bevel one side first and then go back and bevel the other side. Just go down halfway into the bevel that you've already created and push off flakes in the other direction. If you can. Some stones will crush too much and you can't do it. In that case, you just bevel in one direction. Beveling in one direction is usually sufficient also to produce a very fine edge and sharp. But you want to get all fancy schmancy, you bevel it in two directions. So you go up on the surface of the first bevel Well, I didn't bevel this, right? But you can see I chipped with minute flakes all the way down. Flip it over, right? And you just push on the surface and push mainly downward for the next bevel on the other side. Or a little series of flakes. See, I'm pushing mainly downward. I'm not pushing inward. I'm on the surface, pushing downward. It works well with a spatula tool. If you're getting crushing, if it's going every time you do this, if it's not snapping with a clean snap like this, if it's crunching every time you do it, you take a spatula tool with a very narrow point and you flake downward with that. That's minimal amount of contact with the edge. And it even sounds a little more crisp. And it will produce a sharp edge, just downward. You won't hear any clicking or crunching. You might, I guess it's a click when the little snap comes off, but you won't hear any crunching usually with a spatula tool. All right, so that's sharpened, kind of, sorta. There's some thick spots. You just go back and there's a little bit of inward force when you're trying to thin down a thick spot, but if there is no thick spot, you just push downward. And you can get really persnickety about it and get out your magnifying glass. Try to get a hollow ground effect by pushing pressure flakes very carefully on both sides. But you need to grind or abrade first. Take a lot of flakes and leave spaces in between for the flakes going the other way if you want that hollow ground effect. One of these days I'll zoom in close enough to show you what I mean. But with this method, it's just basically you go down like a bevel all the way down the edge. You're going to see a lot of minute flake scars when you do that. It's not a traditional bevel where it's very noticeable, but once you get that pass done, you just hit the surface. You put your flaker on the surface and just very close to the edge and then snap downward, and it puts a series of minute flakes on the other side, and that's how you sharpen it. That's the easiest way, other than just a straight bevel on one side and that's it. That's the easiest. Just a straight beveling on one side, flip it over, do the straight beveling and just leave it. That's the easiest way to sharpen. The next easiest is the double bevel, and the next easiest is the hollow ground. With the ground, you grind the edge and then you do that pressure flaking with spacing in between, so when you flip it over you got a dull spot to press off, and you have kind of like a serpentine edge that produces scoop outs and a very thin edge. And that's the kind of edge that requires me to zoom in really close in order to show you how to do that. I don't usually do it that way because it takes forever, for me anyway. All right. It's getting late and it's an hour already, so I've already spent an hour on this. Although I did break the first two. I like it a lot. Even though I messed up right there. Early on I tried to clean that up and I ended up messing it up right there, but it's alright. I could go thinner with more experience, but I don't want to right now. My hands are pretty small and this looks pretty big, but I bet you it's a lot smaller than you thought, right? It's 3 inches by a little over an inch. The thickness is about 3/16 on average. It goes up to what is that? 1, 2, 3, 7/64. In millimeters, it's about let's see, 5 millimeters, 5 by 25. Yeah, 5-to-1 ratio. Yeah, I don't want to go much thinner. Yeah, I think it would snap if I go to 6-to-1. So 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 on this heat treat stuff seems to be okay. I'm right on the verge of snapping it at 5-to-1. Alright, so what about this Danish looking dagger? What's the ratio? Let's do it in millimeters. That's easy to divide. So it's 50 millimeter. And at that point, across there, the thickness is about 10, maybe 9. That's 5-to-1. It gets thinner there, so that's like 7 or 8. Then it goes back up to 9. So it varies. It's 8 there. It's 9 millimeter. That's 7. It's 10. So 50. So it's like what is it? It would be average. I'd say 8 millimeter into 50 is like 6-to-1. So 6-to-1 on the raw is about as thin as I want to go on that. Okay. And yeah, this is perfectly clear. No major defects. So if there's defects, I'd probably go 4-to-1 on the ratio. Okay. Alrighty.